Greetings to the Barbarian horde. You are both wise as a serpent, yet harmless as a vexed leviathan. Welcome back, and if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. This is Chapter 2 of the Wailing Willow. If you missed Chapter 1, click up here or follow the link down in the trumpery to see that one. Now, if you'll do me one tiny favor, do the like and subscribe bit. Thanks. Today in Chapter 2, we find out what happens to Wulfric and Dane in the Wailing Willow. And now, before any ados are in any way furthered, Wailing Willow, written and read by Brian Carey. Chapter 2.
"Welcome, my friends, welcome,"
shouted a rather frail-looking elderly elf over the noise of the tavern. The elf's arms were outstretched in wide greeting.
"Welcome to the Wailing Willow."
The tavern was filled with people, and it took a moment for the brothers' eyes and ears to adjust to the brighter lights and louder sounds of the Wailing Willow. People were loudly conversing and laughing, while music wafted through the air like a howitzer at wartime, from four bards stomping and belting out tunes for tips in a corner. The time-worn elf welcoming them was of slight build and had already succeeded in his noble quest to become unabashedly inebriated. His balding head had age spots, and his eyes were like polished black stones, with no white or color, giving him the unsettling appearance of blindness, though it was obvious he could see. He hugged both brothers as if he'd finally found his long-lost and best friends.
"I've missed you both so much."
The elf hugged Dane again.
"It's so good to see you, my friends. So good to see you."
Dane Brynjar, it's good to meet you. And this is my brother Wulfric." The elf turned back to Wulfric, who stiffened up as he resisted the drunken elf's unsolicited and unwelcomed hug. "Okay, Knife Ears, that's about all the love a man needs from the likes of you. Now, if you don't much mind, you're standing between me and a tall tankard of ale."
Of course. It's just so good to see you. Welcome back."
"Wait, welcome back?" Wulfric looked at Dane. "Have I been drunk here before?" "No, we've never been to this city before. He's just brutally snarkered," Dane answered. "You think?" Wulfric shot a look back at Dane while he stuck his arm out and sidestepped another hug attempt from the elf. The old elf seemed to lose interest and staggered unsteadily toward another table, and there started welcoming still other old friends he'd never met. "Just sit anywhere you can find a seat. I'll be right with you," shouted a pretty blonde woman, dropping goblets of ale and wine on a table for some dwarvish patrons nearby. Wulfric and Dane found seats at a small wooden tabletop near the open fireplace. "That old elf smells of dandelions." Wulfric crinkled his nose. "How's that even possible? At night? In the mountains? In winter?" Dane shrugged. "Maybe that's just what old elves smell like." "To be honest, I've never even seen an elf that old before. I thought they lived forever. Aren't they immortal?" "No, they just live for, like, a really long time." "Like how long?" "I think like 700, maybe 750 years. 750? Wulfric's brow shot up in surprise. "That's a long time to be hugging trees and smoking granola." Dane rolled his eyes, exasperated at his brother's callous attitude. The brothers surveyed the room as they waited. Toward the center of the room, a table of halflings were surrounded by such a cloud of pipe smoke, it was quite apparent they simply didn't trust any air they couldn't directly see. The halflings appeared as children to Wulfric, though some had beards and most huffed their smoking pipes. A long table of dwarves clunked beer steins together, drank, borked, and complained endlessly about the smog back at their mountain home. They attempted nigh comically futile passes at the attractive blonde woman serving them. A couple of magic users were scattered about the room, also some warriors, and more than a few townsfolk and farmers. No paladins in the drinking establishment for obvious religious reasons. The tavern was a mix of humans, dwarves, elves, and halflings. A tan and cream-colored puppy with bright eyes ran freely about the establishment, greeting every table with a smile and a lick about the ankles, hoping for slops to drop from the tables. Bards played on their instruments and sang an oddly rhyming tale about someone named Regan Bond, the dragon hunter, who pandered for coins. There was a long bar along one wall with access to the kitchen behind. The bartender was also a dwarf, or dwelmer, as they refer to themselves. He appeared to be the proprietor of the Wailing Willow, and Dane assumed from the dwelmer's muscled frame and battle scars that he was a retired warrior. A fire raged in the open fireplace and warmed the brothers. The puppy ran up to Wulfric, wagging its whip-like tail with a frenzy, and began to lick at Wulfric's knees. "Now that is one bright, adorable pup," Wulfric beamed, scratching the dog's ears. "Probably makes a good living on table scraps," Dane observed. "No doubt," the older brother smiled. "What a sweet pup. You know what? We should get a dog." Just then, the pup spotted a snack opportunity and ran to another table. Dane snickered. "It looks like this pup's not interested, Wulfric." Without the puppy to distract him, Wulfric quickly grew bored. His attention turned again to food and spirits, and more specifically why he wasn't consuming any. He looked impatient. Wulfric often appeared to be impatient, primarily because Wulfric had an enthusiastic inability to wait for anything. "She'll be here as soon as she's done with the Dwellmers," Dane remarked, trying to divert the predictably bad mood encroaching on his brother. "Will you look at how much rum those little shin lickers can guzzle down?" "You mean the halflings? I'm no expert, but I don't think they go by shin lickers." "The point is, Dane, those pints they're drinking out of are as big as they are. Where do they put it all? It's like they're made out of sponge. I've read about sponge, you know." "No, you haven't." "Sorry about that, lads." The blonde barmaid appeared right next to Wulfric with her hand on his thick-muscled shoulder. "We're a bit short-handed, what with only the two of us serving this evening. I'm Ginsella, and I'll be your serving wench this evening. Now what can I get for you boys?" Wearing a billowy white top with a black outer corset and flowing red skirts, she leaned in closer to hear them over the noise of the tavern. Wulfric's heart raced. To him, Ginsella looked like an angel. His mouth gaped open, but nothing came out. It was love at first sight. Ginsella even smelled like an angel, a combination of soap and roses, with just a fey hint of barbecue sauce. He knew not to stare at women, but he was not well practiced at it. "Wulfric, don't stare." "Well, my ill-mannered brother will probably need a bib," Dane observed. Ginsella flashed her spellbinding smile. "Oh, don't give it another thought, lad. Now what do you say you boys start out with a couple of ales? The menu's on the wall over the bar," she pointed. "Sounds good," Dane responded. Wait," Wulfric protested, finally finding his tongue. "What's all the celebration in here about?" "What's the celebration? You're not serious. Have you been living under a stone? It's Prince Heimsk's engagement party." Brothers shook their heads. Wulfric squinted. "Let's just pretend I've been living under that stone you mentioned." "Well, you know King Lidrin, yes?" The brothers started nodding their heads. "Yes, well, perhaps. A bit. Not too much. We have no idea." The words stumbled clumsily out of their mouths. "Well, we have some travelers, I see. Well, King Lindrin is the king of Mercer here and the surrounding area, and he's gotten his son, Prince Heimsk, engaged. Truth be told, I didn't think it could happen. Heimsk is about as sharp as a wet sack of last season's grain. But don't mention that I said anything, seeing as I don't want to spend the night in the stocks. The whole city is required to celebrate tonight in his honor." "Required?" "That's why you're so busy tonight." "Yes, indeed. Now I'll be right back with those ales." Ginsella stood straight up, spun on her heels, and headed for the bar, her long curls bouncing elegantly behind her. "She's an angel," Wulfric whispered to no one in particular. "She's not an angel. Don't go there," Dane rebutted. "You'll get us thrown out. You'll get pickled and pronounce your love for the serving wench. Next thing you know, you'll be challenging some lout to a duel and we'll be sitting in our barcases out in the snow. And I can finally feel my feet for the first time in days." "Are you blind or a eunuch, Dane?" "Just get us a room and look at the menu," Dane scolded. "You know, you're my little brother, not me mom." "Oh, that's right. You can't read it, can you?" Wulfric clenched his teeth. "Just read me that drecky menu already." "Okay. Looks like spare flank, venison chops, cabbage, frost lentils, whole cat, mountain oats." "Not the food, Dane. The drinks. Get to the drinks."
"The drinks. Okay. Beer, ale, butter rum, hard cider, barrel-aged bourbon, dragon's milk."
Dane paused. "Wait, what? Go back. Did you say dragon's milk?" Wulfric asked, mouth slightly agape. Magical apprehension shone in his eyes. Dragon's milk. The brothers spoke together slowly and in unison. The words held them briefly in trance. Their imaginations ran rampant. Wonder what's in it? Dane queried. Because clearly some concrete content confirmation was required at this critical pre-inebriation juncture. I have absolutely no idea, Dane, but I can tell you one thing with nigh absolute certainty. We're getting 2 of them. As it turns out, dragon milk wasn't actually obtained by some lout trotting off to the barn and milking a dragon, much to the grievous disappointment of Wulfric and, to some extent, Dane. Instead, it's some concoction of what today we would call whiskey and engine degreaser, with a splash of ghost pepper tossed in for that, pardon me, but I think I'm going to die a horrifying and painful death now, aftertaste. Full disclosure, when drinking dragon's milk, one is not supposed to eat the scorpion's tail sloshing about at the bottom of the shot glass. And to think, some people believe that simply avoiding the worm in a tequila bottle is the wise man's choice. When Gensilla returned to the brothers' table, Wulfric ordered, "Let's try, 2 orders of the bear flank and a couple of dragon's milks. Oh, and keep the ale coming." Gensilla curtsied with a smile and chirped, "As you wish, my lord." She spun on her heels, but before she could slip away, Wulfric shouted after her, "Wait! Me brother Dane would like to order as well." "What? The chapter's over already? Oh, come on! These chapters are way too short!" "Tut, tut, tut, do not fret. There's more. In fact, a very interesting dilemma is about to present itself to Wulfric and Dane. All you need to do is click the like button, the subscribe button, and then the bell icon. Do that, and Chapter 3 will be right here. Go ahead. Click the magic buttons. I'll wait. Chapter 3. Right here.